Starting with the stories trending on our website and other national dailies. That is bringing to you Press Review. My name is Chidimma Oranwa. Hope you had a wonderful night rest. Okay, we are going to take a short break right now, but when we come back, you get to meet our guest who will be our reviewers this morning. So stay with us. You and still good morning, Anambra. And our guest this morning is Simon Wafo Ezo Former. He is a public affairs analyst. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, dear Anambra, and everyone viewing us from all over the world.
And we also have Ifani Ogunebunam, also a public affairs analyst. Glad to have you on the show.
A pleasure being here. Good morning, all.
All right, quickly, let's start with the stories on our website this morning. The first one there, Anambra Youth Commissioner urges young people to access One Youth, Two Skills initiative opportunities. Saludo restates partnership with the church to sustain positive change. Anambra Environment Commissioner asks engineers to tackle challenges of building collapse. And Saludo assures the Anambra youth of better future. Okay, these are the stories we have on our website this morning. Let's start with you, Simon.
Well, all the stories there are very good ones. Let me start with the Anambra Youth Commissioner and Sorudo charging the youths to embrace skill acquisition and One Youth, Two Skills, and the Sorudo promising better future for the youths. So I think it's a cheering news, and I must commend the government. In short, it is a step in the right direction because even a blind man has come to realize that acquiring education, acquiring certificate in this our nation now, without having a skill, is useless. So, and that is why developed nations, that is what they foresaw, and they pursued it. Now we are coming to realize that the development that is required now is what you can, the output. Just as somebody said, moving our nation and the society from consumption to production. So in that case, the urge to acquire skills, to have something that you can actually put out, not necessarily getting the certificate. It's a welcome development.
Okay, you're fine.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. The governor understanding that the future starts now. And whatever we put into our youth is what we'll get tomorrow. And then the emphasis on developing hands-on skill. Then that being said, we also look at the issue of commissioner talking about building collapse. You see, the truth is that Anambra is a developing state. And with a lot of infrastructural developments, there's need for standardization. And the state is yearning for real urban renewal, as in creating new cities, developing the old cities with needed infrastructure. There is urgent need to invest and invest wisely in such a way that when one is done, we count it done properly. You know, I thank the governor, looking at the structure of roads he's doing, you are assured of the quality. You know, after the earthwork, you have a base before the asphalt, unlike what it used to be, where immediately after the earthwork, the thickness of the asphalt is as tiny as a slice of bread. But now, there is need, and then taking the roads to the hinterlands, thereby taking development to those areas. The next is to add light and then you see that new cities. But at this point, I need to tell the Ministry of Lands, Environment, and Public Utilities to have a proper synergy so that these new cities are properly developed, not a slum. Not where people just come, build what they want, not according to the specifications that were either approved for them or government design and plan for such areas, thereby creating a future problem. And then in doing that, quality must be assured. Quality must be the primary thing. The EIAs must be done. The ERs must be done. EIA, I mean environmental impact assessment of those developments, the environmental audit report of those areas and the developments, and then a proper futuristic plan. Looking at these areas, what volume of road do we give them? What do they need to sustain themselves at least the next 10, 15 years without having issues? And then what quality of buildings are we putting up in those areas? The engineers must be charged because they are the engine room of new developments. And once there's an error, you can see some roads where the drainages are collapsing, and you begin to ask yourself, was there no engineer when this project was being done? Who supervised this project? The NSE, Nigerian Society of Engineers, should punish any engineer who supervised any failed project, because without giving them adequate punishment, we keep going round and round the same circle, thinking we are making.
You know that most times, some of this building that we are even talking about, that we don't even have any engineer on site.
So who approved the project?
Anyway,
No. Yeah, there are a lot.
Some of them, they just hire builders that will come and just erect
somebody needs to speak up and speak out. If you don't say, "Here I am," nobody will know where you are. The engineer should tell us what is happening. I am not an engineer. It's when they speak, we now, okay, is this what is happening? And then if companies are engaging in building development and proper and adequate engineers are not on site or are not there, the engineers should speak out. It's only in Anambra that I don't see NSE going on supervisions and closing up sites. In other states, they do that. It's only in Anambra State that I see that buildings spring up. I begin to ask myself, even with my little knowledge of project management, you see some buildings, you tell yourself that, okay, this one no job work. And then citing of projects, go to Ifite by First Market, there you see a very gigantic building without a front face, just by the gutter there. And you begin to ask yourself, how come these people are? A lot of issues, the engineers need to speak up. The town planners, this is the time. The architects, once you are done with your drawing, please stay within your terms of project.
That is the problem.
Limit yourself to what you are trained to do, so that if anything is going wrong, we know where it's coming from. On one way, can amara puka go be an aderonko. Our mambala bofu, manamba malaya malon. So we need to understand where we are and what is happening, so that we don't do a blanket categorization. We know, okay, our problem is coming from the town planner, or it's coming from the engineers, the structural, the mechanical, and the civil. We need to understand what is happening in our state. Anambra Brose Tata, a state that is over 25 years, heading to 30 or even more. We are still faced with this. I know the economy is bad, I know, but somebody who hands out his money for development should earn value for it.
All right, quickly, let's move over to the first paper under review this morning, and that is the Daily Sun. The big story in the front page of Daily Sun this morning. Boko Haram horror in Borno, Katsina. Insurgents behead 13 farmers, kill nine, kidnap others in separate attacks. One killed. Soldiers missing as gunmen strike in Niger, burn vehicles conveying foodstuffs. P2B opens up on Supreme Court judgment, says Apex courts betrayed Nigerians' confidence in judiciary, find better vocation. UK warns nationals against traveling to Borno, Yobe, Adamawa orders, says terrorist attacks likely. Advisory to hotels needless. Federal government tells embassies. Court declares Mbas discharge certificate not fake. Awards 5 million naira against the NYSC. Anxiety as appeal court reserves as judgment in Kano governor's appeal. Sacks Kwankwaso as Kano rep, declares NMPP's Dati. Carlo floors PDP, Labour Party, Abgar at appeal court. Supporters jubilate. South Africa, Chad recall diplomats from Israel. UN leaders demand to end Gaza war. NMPC working with Naiti, other stakeholders to reconcile 2021 procedure, or rather report. Okay, these are the stories trending on the front page of the Daily Sun this morning.
So many stories that
A lot of them.
The one will be, you wouldn't know where to start. Let me start from the bold headline there about Boko Haram horror.
In Borno and Katsina State.
In Borno and Katsina. It's quite unfortunate. Sometimes, one tends to be, bored with what is happening in the nation. Look at Katsina State is the state of the immediate past president of Nigeria. And look at what is happening there. The chief security officer, even when he was on seat. And this, I said, this was a man who was a general in army, a retired general, which means he is supposed to be an expert in intelligence and this thing. But yet, look at Boko Haram ravaging the state, even when he was on seat. Even some attempts when he visited the state. And still the same till today. And my worry is, now, even right now, the president who is on seat, some people were discussing somewhere, some analysts were saying that you see that some of our leaders, we are not prepared to face the challenges or to do the work. They just assumed office that it is my turn. Let it be on record that I was I was once a president of Nigeria. And let me take my turn to take my own portion of the cake. That is what we are aspiring, not to better the loss of the people, not to achieve, not to move the nation forward. Because if not, I think this, okay, look at UK, US the other day warned its citizens about some hotels. Now UK is warning the citizens. This thing ought to give a sleepless night to a sitting president and all the leaders. But we are not bothered. We are not this thing. What we are interested is in visiting one nation to the other, going from this, sharing money for SUV, and then the type of ship and this thing they will buy for us, and then beautifying the First Lady's office. Is that what the masses require? So it's unfortunate. Let me not, if you look at everywhere, and then look at the people being opened up and they being attacked. What is the Supreme Court? My happiness there is that he said that this is not the end, but the beginning of the struggle. Because it's not that anybody is campaigning for anybody, but this nation must be rescued from, I'm not talking of people, the future. We must fight to rescue this nation from those who have grabbed it. That is the point. Otherwise, I wonder how our future generation will be. That is the point I'm making.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go over to the Daily Times newspaper. Like Atiku, Obi shreds Supreme Court judgment. Presidency mocks him. Appellate Court treated a forgery, perjury, ID theft with a levity, he claims. Democracy, the victim. Judgment made Nigerians lose faith in judiciary. Hints at running again in 2027. Tinubu government is spending money recklessly while ordinary Nigerians suffer. Coalition. Okay, and then we have as a rider queries allocation of 1.5 billion naira to unconstitutional office of the First Lady. Delta contractors face a fresh hurdle in contract payment. Stop painting Tinubu Matawali black. Northern professionals caution governor. As EFCC fails to produce Emefiele, judge gives 8 November deadline. Suspended Rec Ari evading arrest. On the run, INEC tells court. FCTA hands Apo Dutse's quarters 7 days to quit. A lot of stories too in the front page of the Daily Sun. If I
Yes, EFCC failed to produce MFLA. Judges give November 8 deadline. Well, I also take it along with the issues that are trending in all our courts. And then I begin to ask, where is the problem? First, what is the fate of an average Nigerian in the altar of justice? Do we still have an altar for or of justice? And if we do, what is happening in that altar of justice? They say judiciary is the last hope of a common man in quotes. Then you begin to ask yourself, with the judgments and proclamations coming out and the actors in the judiciary sector, do they live up to? A typical example: ought an accused be in court to defend himself? If the answer is yes, why fail to produce him? And at least thanks to the judge who is standing his ground to say, look, gentlemen, you have to produce this young man to come and hear and defend himself. We know that the lawyers are there to do their job. Yes, we agree. But at least, like some people will say, let him eye mark and ear mark.
Even in
Let him
criminal,
see.
this thing,
Let him see and hear.
The accused must be present for the criminal trial to go on.
The judges and our courts, please, we plead with you, do the needful. And that takes us also to the issues around our judiciary. When you go to an average court in Nigeria, you begin to ask yourself whether this ought to be a court or where they train ram and goat. Because the condition upon which these judges, the courtroom, their offices and all what's not, are not worth it. They are not worth it. They are not worth it. So a lot needs to be done. Even when we say the judiciary may not be doing what they ought to do, the environment, the required paraphernalias need to be provided for them so that we can know where the issues are coming from. You know, you go to some courts, no light. The judges and the lawyers are sweating like Christmas goats. How will justice come out from such places? Some of our courts, by the time it's in full sitting, you can imagine what is oozing out from that place. How will the judge be comfortable and relaxed to listen to issues that are being put before him? I feel for them. Some magistrates are jumping bike and keke from their house to what about their security? You see, I strongly believe that no society can develop better than what it has. These persons who are saddled with responsibility should be helped to discharge those responsibilities, so that at the end of the day, we can sieve the bad eggs out, and then adequate remuneration and compensations be given to those who do what they ought to do, and those who are doing what they need to do.
So are you saying that most of them are compromising because of poor remuneration?
That's what we have to believe. That's what we look towards. Because when the needed infrastructures are not there, when himself is not sure of his own protection and where his next meal comes from, we are human. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. You don't give a goat a yam to keep and expect the goat not to eat the yam. Somebody who has a pressing need of 10,000 at home and doesn't have a hope of getting the 10,000, And when the carrot is dangled before him, there are chances he will pick the carrot. Let's not pretend. And then these judges are not from the moon. They are also part of the society.
We actually have a barrister here. He wants to comment.
But it's true. I feel for them as well.
Let me come in. Let me, if I may, I will beg to disagree. I agree with my colleague to a large extent. But because why? If you have followed the trend in judiciary, you will know that the condition of judicial officers now are far better than what it was.
Our Supreme Court judge told us that the registrars earned more than him.
But that is true. That is because of the society. That area is the area I want to agree. What you will say is that the society is the judges.
The High Court of Anambra State is not far from here.
It's not far, yes.
And we know the situation there. And that is a replica. If that is like that, you can tell me what is happening in Aniocha, in the magistrates' courts in Aniocha, in Idemili, in Otuocha, in Oyi, and Ayamelum.
Are you telling me?
I know of a court in Nnewi that is by a roadside that is flooded. And how will the magistrate go in there and preside there and bring justice?
Look at what I'm saying. What the point I'm making is, whatever it is now, I'm not telling you that it is the best. Now it is but it is better than what it was before. That's the point, and that is why most of the judges in the Supreme Court, in the court of Federal High Court, are putting their children, their relation. Why, if that condition is not good, why are they
I think what they are doing is to secure a job for their children. It's not actually that.
That is the point. Because
sir, the issue is that we have gross unemployment. So when somebody is leaving, it's not peculiar to the courts. It's unfortunate that it's happening.
Wait.
But don't look at it that the conditions are okay.
No.
What they are looking at is let there be food on the table. If there are other options for their child to have food on the table, he will not send it.
We are saying the same thing. Do you know that formally, good lawyers don't accept being judges and
Please hold your thoughts on that. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Tell us your name and your location, please.
Okay, I'm Ejike Nwafo, calling from Oka here.
Ejike, you're welcome.
Gentlemen,
Good morning.
A pleasure.
I just want to chip in a word here. I think the judiciary is its own problem. The judiciary is its own problem in Nigeria. And my fear here and my worry is the antecedents they are setting for the younger generations.
Okay.
The examples they are laying down for the younger generations. The same judiciary ruled against former President Buhari's executive order for judicial autonomy. The same judiciary, when they went to court, they ruled against former President Buhari's executive order on judicial financial autonomy. So I don't know what their problems are. And it is appalling, it is heartbreaking that the judiciary that is supposed to hold the society is the one that is causing these problems we are having in the society. I'm sorry to say this, but they should sit up. The NJC should try and remove some of these unscrupulous elements of the judiciary for future generations. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution.
That is just the summary. One of the judges of panel judges in Kano State also refused being influenced because of money. What we are saying is that the society is bad. People are hungry, but like a lawyer, a son of a judicial officer, a lawyer, a judge of high court, appeal court, and so on. If the lawyer is sound, and if other lawyers are existing, if the judicial, the situation or the listing of the judicial officers are not good, why is he trying to put his son or daughter there? It is because it is far better now than even what you can make outside as a lawyer or this. That is why there's. But the point that some judicial officers are corrupt is not because they don't see what to eat. It is because they are the products of the society. Some of them decide to follow the wrong path. Look at what is happening. Look at orders and counter orders. It's not supposed to be so. NJC is supposed to sanitize the system. If the judicial officer messes up and you discipline him, but when the person at the top, look at the retiring, look at what the retired Chief Justice of Justice of the Supreme Court said about themselves, that people are blaming. He said it. He did not mince words. He said that what they aspire to come into is not what they are seeing now. That is not because of this. Yes.
So the operators in the theater of justice is the issue.
That is, you saw him accusing even the Chief Justice of the Federation. He said it in a clear terms. Okay, look at the manipulations there. No representative from the Southeast. Is it because of the salary? Is it,
the truth is that
is the point.
In the judiciary, they are, especially at the apex courts, they are at their lowest ebb. There should be about 15 persons as against 30 something. And the question is, who ought to appoint, and why are they not appointing? And if who ought to appoint is not doing what he ought to do, why the silence?
That is the point.
Then the second question is, we have NJC, we have Nigeria Bar Association, and then they tell us, and then we have the body of benchers, that he used to equity must come with clean hands. If those who know what the law is and what the law says are not doing what the law says, then you ask yourself, how should I get justice?
That is the same thing. That is
I think we are going to dedicate one day when we come here and talk about lawyers, their roles, their responsibilities,
simple,
and probably how they have fallen off the cliff.
And they are part of the problem. They point at politicians.
All right.
Because if actually what they ought to do, they get it done well, especially interpretations of our laws and our constitution, then this
they are more of the problem we are having. They are more of the, look at what P2B said.
Somebody will be interpreting.
See, Barrister Chuks.
It's unfortunate anyway.
Okay, quickly, let's go over to the next paper. That's the Vanguard. We are taking the Vanguard and Daily Independent together. The Vanguard newspaper, big story there. Presidential poll. Presidency, APC attack Obi overstands on Supreme Court verdict. And then we have a lot of riders there. Nigeria's democracy, victim of Apex Court's judgment, Obi. Lament court ignored evidence of forgery and rigging. Insists this is just the beginning of struggle. State opposition to bad policies starts now. Find better jobs. Stop attacking judiciary. Presidency tells Obi. No court gives judgment based on public opinion. APC faults Obi's haughty sense of entitlement. NMPCL working with Neiti orders to reconcile 2021 report. Suspended Adamawa Rec Hudu on the run. This is coming from INEC. And judge restate order for unconditional release of ex-CBN Governor Mefele. Pension funds raise a stake in federal government securities by 23% to 11.3 trillion naira. And then Matawale deemed to patronize bandits, media aid. Nollywood actor Mr. Ibu's leg amputated. And then U.S. adversary can create panic effect on the economy. Okay, so quickly, let's see what we have on the Daily Independent. Insurance industry experts play down 50 billion naira capital base. Tick risk-based approach. Say firm with 5 billion naira capital base can underwrite 250 billion naira fire risk. Tinubu mourns passage of Soludo's father. Expert advances reasons Harmattan weather affects flights in Nigeria. U.S. forecast $100 billion revenue for Nigeria's creative industries by 2030. Supreme Court breached Nigerian trust. Okay, we've seen that. And then court finds NYSC 5 million naira for labeling Mbaz NYSC certificate fake. PDP asks INEC to emulate IGP, remove Ago as Imo Rec. Again, 3 persons shot dead, 2 others injured in Benue community. And the U.S. travel advisory, okay, they're warning their citizens about some terror, some places in Nigeria where they shouldn't visit. Okay, these are what we have on the front pages of the Vanguard and the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. Okay, what do you make out of the statement from the presidency telling Obi that he should go and find another vocation?
Well, onye onwe mmeri inwe mba. That's what an Igbo adage says. When you are victorious, sometimes we tend to celebrate overboard, and we should know that humility is very necessary and important in whatever we are doing. Today it favored you, tomorrow it may not favor you. We should be careful with the people we meet on our way up. We don't know whether we meet them on our way down. We should know that assuming office, public offices is there for service. And then silencing dissent voices and opposition is not acceptable anywhere. Democracy thrives on oppositions, because that is what will keep you on your toes, because power corrupts and absolute power corrupt absolutely. The presidency mocking Mr. Peter Obi, or any Nigerian is not acceptable. That is the lowest ebb of the office of a president. He is a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A contested election with you doesn't make him less a human. And these are the issues that divide us more than unite us. A certain section of this country is clamoring, shouting and wailing that they need to breathe, that the knee on their throat is suffocating them. And we should not be seen, fanning the amber of disunity. We should magnanimous in victory, accommodate everybody. He has his right to voice his anger. He has absolute authority to speak out his mind. And when that is done, what leadership entails is that you listen to those areas that is pointing at and see how we make amends. It is true that INEC is never prepared for any election. It is true that INEC is never prepared for any election. They are always unprepared. Why give room for all this? Akamaro kalile jog. INEC should do what they need to do. This last election, INEC has no single defense. They asked for money, it was given to them. The entire value. What went wrong? They need to do a proper in-check of themselves. My late father and my late mother, their names are still in the voter register. Doing what? Doing what? And you are expecting something better. There's an axiom that says you build on nothing and expect it to stand. As far as I'm concerned, the voter register for elections in Nigeria is as good as tissue paper that is already used. And we know how useless a tissue paper that is already used is like. That is the true position. And these things keep playing out. And nobody thinks to say, can we take a pause and find a new direction? We can't continue this way. How can we go for election? The previous election seems better. The volume of court cases coming out from a president election is more than the one of the previous election. I have been on air saying it, that the processes upon which our leadership positions are occupied is faulty. Without apologies, and nobody can convince me of that. INEC will come to party primaries just as an observer, a mumu, as good as a table and chair. The documents filed to INEC are never examined. Never examined. I repeat, never examined. INEC lacks the capacity to disqualify or qualify any candidate. What they do is send it in, I send it out. You guys can go to court. There should be a proper check. There should be a proper check. Please, Mr. President, call to order those that are working for you. This is not acceptable. You don't add fuel to an already inflamed fire. Otherwise, whatever is the possible outcome may not, I repeat, may not be favorable to anybody. what can you do? Nobody has monopoly of violence.
Okay, there's one story that I found funny. It has appeared in almost all the papers we've reviewed this morning, talking about court fining NYSC 5 million naira for saying that Mba's NYSC certificate is fake. Now, a body that issued the certificate came out and said that the certificate they issued an individual is fake. And then after investigation, they found out that the body, the organization, is actually lying. What do you make out of that?
That is you know, something came to my mind now. Shakespeare said in Julius Caesar, "Oh, that our fathers' minds are dead, and we are being ruled by our mother's spirits." Because when I remember some good judges in those justice, I was discussing with one Justice Byron Onyama, Justice Nwokede, Justice Araka, Justice Oputa, Justice, Justice of the Supreme Court of Court.
Sound intellectual mind.
It's sound intellectual mind. People who can stand their ground and give justice, no matter justice. What is that? The former Chief Justice of Plateau State that sentenced a lawyer for 3 months imprisonment. On the court today, removed his gun, sentenced him. Barrister Obiekwe Aniwata. That is when those days why I'm saying it, I was watching the lawyer of Mefele on the channels yesterday. One thing he said that it is not even about this matter, but it is that a Nigerian has spent 109 days in detention of DSS and EFCC when court has ordered. Look at that of Martin Nandi. That is, we are messing things up. So on what you asked, my sister, it is funny. I was here the other day I was discussing with somebody. When they said about the thing, I said, no, it is good if the governor is convinced that he did not forge his certificate. Let them go to court. And the court has proved it now. Because some people were questioning why. I heard it in the radio yesterday. Some people were, why charging them 5 million? That's it to show. It is not ridiculous that an institution that issued a certificate are coming to tell cock and bull story. How? Okay, one thing safe once you do, what will the man begin if he will go all this out to defend that he did not forge it when he has forged? So the point is, I'm happy about it. And if the NYSC is not satisfied, let them go on appeal. Let us determine, because I always interested in these things, because it is for the development of the law. Tomorrow, it will be in the law report, so that it will be cited, and we can use it to follow other matters.
So it still comes down to that statement that has been, making the airwaves. If you are not satisfied, go to court.
No, it's not a question of if you are not satisfied, go to court. You see, it's unfortunate that NYSC, who issued a certificate, cannot define it.
It's funny. It's funny.
It's quite unfortunate.
It's funny.
It's quite unfortunate. And that's what we talk about archiving.
It's
that's what we
funny.
talk about having a process and institutions.
Is it not similar to what we have in Chicago State University? Talking from this side, talking from the other side. So
it's quite unfortunate that institutions, in fact, where lies the hope? People are calling for the scrapping of NYSC, and then the decay in the system there is showing up. And the young man was able to tell them, look at it.
In a clear terms.
And then the question is, why do one want to drag the report?
That is the point.
Do you know that? Pull him down
in a single crime, the officer that is involved.
I am expecting that by now that he should be rolling in NYSC. I am expecting him to roll. And if it doesn't roll, then there's no need having NYSC. Let's tell ourselves some basic truth.
The officer that is involved has a query to answer.
You can, and then somebody came to court to air rubbish, and the court kept quiet
to misinform the court,
to come before the altar of justice and want to mislead.
It's funny.
I expect the courts by now to start rolling their sticks, because if there is hope, it should start from them. Yes, they should call the man who came to court to deceive the court to questions.
Exactly.
They should call him to questions, so that next time, if you are coming up as a witness, you know what it means to be a witness. That being a witness, you must be a witness and not come to deceive if you must deceive the court. And it's on oath for that matter.
The court.
The witness is always on oath. And somebody is on oath and he came to lie before the altar of justice, and the altar of justice is keeping quiet by now. Let us see.
All right, well, on a sad note, though he lived a fulfilled life, we want to commiserate with our Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo on the loss of his father. It happened yesterday, being the 6th of November 2023. Like in the front page of the Daily Independent, we can see where the president is mourning the passage of Simon Soludo, the father of the governor of Anambra State. And we all here, we are praying that the good Lord will give the family and also Mr. Governor the fortitude to bear the loss.
Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Governor, welcome to the fatherless home.
Governor,
I commiserate with you. It's a painful loss, though you have enjoyed him, unlike some of us who lost ours very early. But a loss is a loss. And when you lose a loved one, you begin to know the relevance of such a person, especially a father. Please have the heart to accept the situation and then give him a befitting burial and thank God for his life well spent.
Yeah.
And then copy those parts of him which are good and leave out those parts of him which to you and to the society is not worth it.
Okay, may his soul rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
Amen. All right, quickly, let's go over to the next paper. That's This Day newspaper and The Nation. We are taking both together. Let's start with This Day. The big story is still talking about Supreme Court affirmation of Tinubu, beginning of our quest for better Nigeria. This is coming from Obi, and then a lot of riders there. Okay, he says the purchase of SUVs, a yacht, amid the multi-dimensional poverty, gross act of insensitivity. President, it will be stopped casting aspersion on Supreme Court. Insists judicial pronouncement based on evidence, precedent, a rule of law. Okay, $5 billion dollars train, 7 NLNG project reaches 52% completion level. NATO report, we are working to reconcile areas of discrepancies, says NMPC. And then produce Emefiele in court or release him unconditionally, judge restate order to EFCC. Court, okay, we've seen that. And then UTM offshore in strategic collaboration with UAE government. Let's see the front page of The Nation newspaper. Federal government, Sean Terror Alert Fair. And then we can see the picture of the president and the governor of Imo State. Renewed hope agenda of APC, is on course in Imo State. Yes. Vote Hope Uzodinma for governor Imo State. That's what we can see there. Then presidency tackles will be over attack on Supreme Court. Heavy rainfall coming in Lagos, Ogun Rivers, and 12 others. NMPCL explains FAC claim, NATI's 2021 report. Okay, so what are we going to talk about?
I want to join my voice to whoever says, let it not be as if I'm interested in some, that asking for SUV cars that we worth 116 million each for all the National Assembly members in the height of the present situation in Nigeria, where people are eating their flesh, where people are committing suicide daily, is the height of insensitivity. That is, it's a gross insensitivity. It shows, these people are, I wouldn't say that they are not, somebody said, I cannot say that they are not human. I cannot say there's been a very wicked attitude. I don't know how people can be so self-centered to that height. I don't even know how people have the conscience some people have. So you see this nation like this, and what occupies your mind is how you will be comfortable, not thinking of seeing how people are dying. Or do they not pass through the street? Do they not pass and see people going to the refuse dumps to look for what to eat? Do they not see the wailing of the people? That is very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Look at the presidency seeking for the money to furnish the office of the First Lady. That is not in our constitution. Billions and millions of naira. Then look at looking for the one that will be bought for the presidential.
No, they've defended. They said that is a naval specialized boat.
For whatever you call it. Even some people are even, I wouldn't like to say something on here, never specialized boat. But we have never had it before. It's only now.
Now we are talking about fight against insurgency. So I mean, maybe this is one of the equipment they are going to use to, cripple the, activities of these hoodlums.
Wonderful.
Insurgents.
But Asare Dokubo has been assigned a lot of things. Now we are coming to square one. We are just beating about the bush.
Okay, Ifeanyi, what's your own opinion?
On what?
On what we are discussing, we are talking about the 5 billion naira yacht. We are also talking about equipping the facilities office and also buying cars and also, buying some cars to replace the old ones and the State House. A whole lot of things.
Illegality begets illegality. That's number one. Number two, it's quite unfortunate that the National Assembly is being shown in that light. Please ask our ministers how many vehicles they move around with. I think there are some issues that need to be dealt with fundamentally.
That is the point.
A minister in this country is entitled to about 4 or 5 vehicles. And then you ask yourself, who fuels the vehicle? It is our Commonwealth. Our national mai, because cake is very difficult to bake. Mai, you just grind the beans and then steam the whole thing, the food is ready. So National Assembly being painted in bad light is what I'm not comfortable with. The issue is that public office is too lucrative. And if public office is too lucrative, the private sector must die. Because the best brains ought not to be in public service, but rather in private sector. And that's what thrives in other nations. The best brains are out there generating wealth. But where we have our so-called best brains are in government offices, bringing off policies that may not see the light of the day. Just like we have a serious disconnect in our development plan. There's no connect between the educational policies we're running with and the developmental demands of our country. A lot of fundamentals need to be put in place.
So are you justifying what is going on at the...
I'm not justifying it, but I am telling you that I don't belong to those who use short-term approaches to solve a long-term problem. The long-term problem is that actually in this country, we have a lot of deformities.
We have fundamental problems.
And that is where we are going to hit at. Once the fundamentals are put right, every other thing starts running. Because today we have a pharaoh that knows Joseph, who may be prudent in resource management. Tomorrow we have a pharaoh who doesn't know Joseph and who is there to burn the resources. Like an instance, the office of the First Lady should never exist.
It's not in the constitution.
It should never exist.
Why?
Not talk about having the impetus to go into public fund
you see,
to furnish such offices.
You see,
is
it not the responsibility of the National Assembly to say this will not fly, this will not go? And that is why when they are sincere, you quoted the equitable maxim that he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. And then equity, he who requires equity must show equity. That is another. So the point is, because they are corrupt, they compromise a lot.
Because the institution itself is throwing out corrupt persons.
These 4 vehicles you are talking now, is it not the National Assembly that will stand and say, no minister, because they have oversight functions.
Yes.
That is their duty to say, no minister should have more than 1 vehicle.
I agree.
No office of the, nothing like office of the first lady. It is their duty.
But you also know, sir, that an executive also have some approvals that he makes. I'll give a typical example. In awarding a building, the executive may look at it that I have no capacity within my office to award this entire building. He awards it in stages. That is a fundamental defect. Now, some of those vehicles were bought, in quotes, through a back door. They were bought through a back door, and they were never budgeted for. And then there's this the President National Assembly. They were discussing, or they set up a committee to recover public assets. And there are 3 or 4 sittings. The whole of Abuja were shaking. And you discover that those confiscated assets were already lost back. And you ask yourself, nketa tala okpukpu anyabali ya n'onu alụ emegokwonu. Dibia akpọta ka ogbue mmụọ ọkpọrọ mmụọ bịa ifra na nnukwu nsogbu oli. So a lot of, you see,
we have a fundamental
issue.
Okay.
And when
they are fighting, they don't want anybody that will question the status quo.
Those are the issues.
That is the problem.
Those are the issues,
they
because
don't want anybody that will question
we need to, like our nation, we call it a federating state. Even as a federating state, you discover that even the state governors are an appendix. And then we say we are having 3 tiers of government, the federal, the state, and the local government. And you ask yourself some questions. Where is local government? Maybe it's in my pocket or in the pocket of some governors. So all these are issues. The ones, you see 10 Naira is 1 shekel. Is either it or it's not it. Once we have a defect anywhere, it lingers within the system. And then, like one of our holy books say, that no matter the volume of oil, honey, very beautiful. Once fly perches on it, so that is where we are. That is the issue. I am thinking of, let us solve the long-term issues, and the short-term issues will just go on their own.
Okay, that's a good one. But if you ask me, we just need to cut the cost of governance in Nigeria. I think that will go a long way.
How do you cut it?
Let's start somewhere. Okay, we have someone that sent us a message from on our Facebook page, and his name is Ozo Francis Omaga Nnamani. He sent us a message, he said he's watching live from Amagunze in Enugu State. Good morning from here. The killing of farmers by terrorists will cause more hunger, hardships, and high cost of food commodities in the country. May God help us. Okay? Amen to that prayer. May God help us indeed.
Okay, God accept us. We need to do our own part.
We have another message from Ozo Francis Nnamani. He's saying that the amputation of Mr. Ibu's leg was done to save his life. And we thank God for saving his life, and anything done to save his life should also be appreciated. Okay, we also commiserating with the family of Mr. Ibu, and we pray that it will just end in the amputation. Yes. On the forthcoming governorship elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa, I urge INEC not to compromise, but rather endeavor to conduct credible, transparent, and peaceful polls, unlike what happened during 2023 general elections that were marred by irregularities and some shortcomings. May God help us again. Okay, God will continue to help us, but we need to do our own so that God will continue to help us. Coming from also Francis Omaga Nnamani. Thank you so much for those messages this morning. Okay, quickly, let's just round up with what the papers we have. We just scan through them. The Guardian, Daily Trust, and Nigerian Tribune. The Guardian, less than 30% of registered voters will decide Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi poll. You can see that on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Okay, drawbacks of dollarization of the Nigerian economy. And federal government, federal government kickstart housing and slum development scheme with 100 billion naira. Court affirms authenticity of Enugu government. Okay, we've talked about that. Nigeria needs $7.6 billion to restore oil production to 2.1 BPD in 2025. Terrorist attack Malud procession in Katsina killed 30 and injured others, and also kidnapped some people. Daily Trust is next. Israel kills 10,022 Palestinians in 4 weeks. One child killed every 10 minutes. Gaza becoming graveyard for children. UN Security Council. 8 countries cut ties with Israel over Gaza genocide. Terrorists kill people in Katsina and also Boronuk. Bayelsa governorship cracks widen in PDP. APC as heavyweight Sean rallies. And finally, Nigerian Tribune, Guba poll, 40,000 police personnel for Kogi. IGP reads Riot Act to perpetrators of violence visit Bayelsa. We are 90% prepared, INEC. Redeploy IMUREC, PDP urges. And then Oyo workers to get 25,000 Naira wage award for 6 months. Appeal court reserves judgment in Kano Guba election. Port and harbors bill will promote casualization, maritime workers, and release or produce MFLA. November 8th, court orders EFCC. Okay, these are what we have on the front pages of The Guardian, Daily Trust, and Nigerian Tribune. Quickly, because of want of time.
Yes, let me quickly say that we have seen, that is why any evil you allow today may affect you tomorrow. Look at the percentage of people that will come, because who is interested in coming to waste his time? When Professor Humphrey Moose conducted the election, we saw what happened. People queued up, and he stood his ground. But look at even all the promises, nobody is listening to them again, because the man took us many steps backwards. But I still pray that people will come out to demonstrate, to remove the bad ones. Then on Israeli war in Gaza.
Yes.
That thing, I sometimes wrote that never start a war you cannot finish. Never start a war you cannot finish. And sometimes I don't align myself with the world. Look at, they are now condemning Israel, they're doing this, But even the Israeli hostages that we are held by the Hamas, they are still being, why can't the world speak? Release these people, even American citizens. Why is this, are they not in the world? Why couldn't the world address it? So that we start from somewhere. And that is why what people used to say, Israel, they don't believe in talking only. They know God, they pray to God, but they believe in action. So the Hamas that started this thing, unprovoked attack, they're supposed to be condemned, because, God does not vindicate the guilty. That is the point.
All right, thank you so much. If I know you have something to say, but before then, what do you have to say about this wage award of your workers at 25,000 for 6 months?
That is executive recklessness. I'm not against adding values to the welfare of workers, but must it always be cash? There are other ways of adding value to their welfare. Sir, ma, I please. The workers don't actually need your physical cash. They need succor. And some of the succors will come by way of getting a good road, getting houses for them, where they be owner and occupier. This dash of mentality of dashing people something doesn't solve any single problem.
That may not even be
Why
sustained.
not buy off all the rice that is being produced in Nigeria and then have a warehouse or a store where civil servants come to take a certain measure? Why not buy off all the agricultural produce where civil servants can now come and have these things at a certain measure, and thereby encouraging farming? This issue of throwing money at problems without solving any single problem can't take us anywhere. It cannot. Because the volume of money that's going to be spent on this frivolity is more than enough to encourage 1,001 farmers. It is more than enough to build houses where the civil servants will occupy, and the issue about rent is gone, and gone permanently and forever. So we should have a rethink. Stop throwing money at problem. Sit down, analyze the problem, and get a solution. The civil servants are not begging you for money. They are not asking you for money. What they are asking for is welfare. What they are asking for is a better condition of living. What they are asking for is existence. Remove the leg on their neck and let them breathe. What for? You are throwing money at them. Are they beggars? Giving them 25,000. What is 25,000? Equate it in their transport and tell me what is the possible outcome. Equate it in their welfare and then let us see the possible outcome. Why not give them food?
You know, funnily enough, a lot of people might disagree with you on this because some
that
people they just want the money and let them enjoy the money.
And that's why inflation is coming.
Because people are hungry.
A lot of people are hungry.
If somebody is hungry, doesn't need food. Another age in my place saying,
and let's not forget that this could be a short-term solution that they are already planning a long-term solution, just like you have just.
This cannot give us.
Didn't you hear?
No, I'm saying is this. Maybe they are just trying to, give the workers this. And at the end of the day, they are still planning to give them good road and then build the housing scheme we are talking about. So let them start from somewhere.
They are not starting from anything. They are rather creating more problem because the 25,000 you are giving them, the landlord is already waiting at their door to collect the money.
That is why I said we have a foundation. Because if you are condemning your workers, do you know?
I'm speaking generally about labor and welfare.
Look at what I'm saying. That is why it is a general. Because even our governors agreed with the president that incentives are going to be given to many. They agreed it. Because so that is if we want to address it, we address it nationally.
I am not addressing the issue based on your workers. What I am saying is that civil servants are not beggars. That you are throwing money at them. Okay. Stop. Solve their problem. They have a basic issue. And their basic issues are one, housing. No civil servant can have a decent housing with the situation in this country. And that's what they are asking you of. We have owner-occupiers then when my father was alive and they were civil servants. They have accommodation. Principals used to stay in school. They have accommodation. That solves a problem. And some schools then do have enough land where he do farm
they
to
can farm. That is,
but when all these things are taken off them, when you take all these things off them, how do you want them to survive? You are throwing the same money you are giving them. Their landlord has already collected it.
Even transport. That is why I said it's a national issue.
So they should stop all this and think of how to solve their problem.
Look at the price of cooking gas.
Okay. I wish we would have continued, but because of want of time, we need to go. I want to say a very big thank you to both of you for joining us this morning. Thank you so much, Simon Nwafezo Fomba, for being part of the press review this morning.
Thank you, and thank you to our viewers and listeners. May we continue to hope that we have a better tomorrow in this nation. In Jesus' name.
Amen. And also to you, Ifeanyi Ogunebunam, thank you so much for being part of this.
It's a pleasure being here. The voice that speaks is there. I think the ear that should hear and digest should also be available. And above all, change what doesn't work around you. Don't compromise. Any compromise of today awaits us tomorrow. We must change what is affecting us in our immediate environment. Don't think the man in front is the one that is the problem. Solve the problem around you and the problem will be solved.
All right, thank you so much for being part of the press review. Want to say give a special thanks to Francis Omaga Namani. Also, Francis, thank you so much for the message you sent on our Facebook page and also our callers. We appreciate you this morning. My name is Chidima Orangwa. Thank you for being part of the press review this beautiful Tuesday morning.